Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church free.
Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if our intro is playing. And my apologies, I'm running this from the car. Let's see if this intro is going.
Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church free news. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina and Clovis, special guests. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Good morning, and good afternoon, depending on when you're watching us. I can't hear you, Regina. It's showing that you're on mute. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Juice Radio and Talk Show. I'm here with your host. She's also on the line. I'm Regina. We're so glad to have you wherever you're watching us. I'm Pastor Grant. And I'm excited for today's topic, which is on interviewing and hiring for success. We're grateful for the opportunity to share. I know she's going to be back on and live in just a moment. She's in transition. That's what happens when God has blessed you with such an opportunity to share and be enabled in so many different spaces. We're grateful for what he's given unto us and given us an opportunity to share. Today is Money Monday. And we're grateful for the opportunity to share wisdom and knowledge to you on today. So we are continuing in our series. On our series today, we are discussing interviewing and hiring for success. Don't you know your team matters? I want to encourage you today that who you align to your vision, to your goal, what God has called you to do, it does matter. And so we're excited on today to share with you just some pieces of wisdom that you can use and leverage as you go through the interviewing and hiring process. We talked about what type of skills, what type of character do you look for in a resource or a team member, a team player. Again, they represent you, they represent your brand. And so they should have an understanding of what you'd like to have presented. And so that was last week. And so this week, we're going to talk a little bit about interviewing and hiring for success. And so I am so excited about that. It's so important because the people you bring onto your team are your hands extended, right? They're the ones who bring your vision to reality, your goals to reality. They help you in manifesting what you intended. And so it's so important that as you interview, that you're looking for what you need, who can come in. I've often said, don't hire for what you do well, hire for your weakness. And don't feel as if that's a threat. That's not a threat to hire to enable a space where you need strength. You need armor bearers. You need people who can help carry the torch in a variety of lanes, because remember this, you cannot do it all. You cannot. God created a family. He created collaboration. He created what it looks like to be in relationship. And so it's so important for your vision and mission and dream that you are prepared to have that type of working relationship. And what do you need when you're looking to interview? When I think about it from a biblical perspective, it's so true. Even in biblical perspective, when you're looking for others to operate in ministry with you, there's certain capabilities, there's certain maturities, there's certain enablements that you're looking for, because it speaks to your ministry. It speaks to your brand. So the same would be if you're looking for somebody who's going to be the manager or lead. Of course, you're going to look for those contextual ability to lead others, and not just be able to lead, but be able to have people follow them. Because you are leading and nobody's following, you just taking a walk. You are not leading. And so it's so important that as you operate, you're looking for the different capacities. We talked about in previous sessions, talking about identifying what skills you need to help your vision go forward. And so once you've identified those, so go back and watch Juice Radio and Talk Show, some of our previous Money Mondays. You'll see that information, because it's so important for you as the visionary to identify and allow God to speak to you on what do I need to be successful. And then now, as you already have that identification, as you already know, this is part of your preparing for your interviews. And so there are a few steps I want to talk about today. How do I prepare for an interview? How do I get ready for what God is going to do in my vision, in my business, in what he's called me to do, in my new opportunity? Even if I'm in corporate America, how do I take that new leadership role, and who do I take with us, right? It's so important. Who do you take with you on the journey? It's so important. Who do you take along with you to help support you and help expand? And so some of the things that you want to talk about, again, in getting ready for the interviewing and hiring process is, one, be prepared. So prepare for your interviews, right? You've already made interest. You already put the description out. You've let people know, here are the roles that I know I need to fill. And so you've let others know about that. So prepare for the interview. What are the types of questions that you need to ask so that you have the STAR interview process, right? Situational, task, action, and results. You want someone who can handle the variety of different situations that might come up in your line of business. How do you handle an irate customer? How do you handle if you have high demand and your capacity to operate is low? How do you have that dexterity and agility to be able to handle that flow, that ebb and flow that happens in business? And so if you're hiring a manager, if you're hiring a supervisor, they certainly need to have that wherewithal, that self-management, that self-control, so that in those times of tough situations, they know how to handle themselves well. They know how to carry it forward. They know how to carry the mission forward. Hey, Robin, good afternoon. Good morning. We're so glad to have you with us. So this is a new week. And so this is great information for us to share, because, again, you want to use the STAR method so that as you're getting ready to do the interview, you have the right questions already prepared. You want to show up, bring your best self to the interview process, because this is your vision and ministry and mission and ministry. And so you want to make sure, again, that you have the situational questions. Then you want to make sure that you have the task-related questions, right? What kind of task will this particular role need to provide? What will that person you're interviewing be doing? And it's so clear. We talked about in all you're getting, get an understanding. So sometimes we can ask the question or identify what the role is, but we need to have some specificity so that the person who's being interviewed understand their task, understand their accountability, understand what time period that they have for onboarding, time period for training, how training will help be facilitated, and then their expectations around that task. We're talking about task-related questions as you go into the interviewing process. Ask them about tasks and actions. What type of actions are you looking for that particular person to do? Right? Explain about the actions that you're looking for, not just the task itself, what is necessary in performing that role, but what kind of actions are you looking for? Meaning sometimes when people don't understand, they don't always know who to go to ask questions. So derive to them and explain to them that if you have questions or concerns in the onboarding process, here's the action you could take. Sometimes people don't know what the actions would be expected of them if they have a family emergency. In a family emergency, here's what is necessary for us to have clarity and to communicate and to know what I need to do so I can get the message to the right person that I am having an emergency, that I might be late, that I have a concern. So those kind of actions help onboard a person in the initial beginning so there's clarity of understanding. Right? Because sometimes people can hear, but they don't understand. And so you want to make sure that there's understanding in the interviewing process. And a lot of times this is why when we actually onboard a person to our team, you're like, well, that's not the same person I talked to. Their actions aren't displaying what I expected, because you have to remember, you have to inspect to get what you expect. And so that means sometimes you have to go down to some of those finer details in the beginning so that it can eliminate or at least diminish some of the particular issues that you know you might encounter when you're operating in a capacity that you're leading others, or you're operating in a capacity where you're responsible for what others do. So you want to make sure that you have that specificity in your interviewing process so that there's clarity and you have dialogue. You want to understand the person, right? So that as they come on board, I can understand what areas I might need to help you in. You might have the skill set I need, but there might be some enablements in some areas of your personality, some areas of your experience that I might need to enable or to reinforce, to say, this is what I want to see. You're bringing to my group exactly what we need. We don't have that strength. And so letting them know you might have some opportunities or some challenges between my team because this is going to be a major shift. This is going to be a major change. But I want to have this interview with you and have this awareness. I want to give you awareness of what you're walking into. Don't having that thought, that foretelling, foresight about what they can experience helps them to level set as a potential employee so that they know what to expect. They don't come into the engagement of a new business, a new corporation, a new team, a new ministry, and have no idea of how things work. They have no idea of the culture. They have no idea of the history and some of the things that people may be doing out of habit, but that we want to change it. How wonderful it is when we let people know that up front, because then they say, okay, I feel comfortable giving feedback. I feel comfortable sharing when I feel like there's a better way to do it. It's never to diminish the way that it's been doing or to say that it was not effective for then, but there's always, scripturally, thank you, Lord, there's always another level. There's a degree of excellence. And so the person that you're interviewing might be coming into a situation where they need to know you're going to come with some pushback. You're going to have some constraint as we navigate the shift, as we navigate the ship, as we navigate our team. Hey, C, good morning. Glad to have you with us. As we navigate and we move the organization to the direction of our strategy and our desires for our current state. Where do we want it to go for our future? We're moving our current state to our future. So some of these are very, very important as you talk about the interviewing process. Describe the company. Describe how their position fits into the company, right? Why it is so critical, why that role is necessary, how that role will be an asset, how that role will benefit our vision and mission, how that role will bring us right to the next opportunity that we're trying to obtain. And so a lot of times people need to know, where do I fit? How do I become a valuable asset? Not just to you as a hiring manager or you as the visionary, but to the team. How do I fit in the team? How do I operate in a capacity that I'm not an outsider for long? We help them in the interviewing process so that they can feel a part of as soon as possible. People, you get the benefit of what they bring to the team when they feel a part as soon as possible. So as you have the interviewing process, that we're talking about interviewing and hiring for success. We want to be successful. We don't want it to take people 10 weeks, 2 months, 1 month to feel as if I'm a part of this experience. We want them to know enough to connect. We want them to come in and interview and be what I can identify. Okay, this person is going to be a good fit for us. And I say that all the time because a lot of times people don't always look at, are they a good fit? They are a good person for doing that work. They are a good person as far as their personality, but are they a good fit for your organization? Are they going to help push the organization to the next goal, to the next vision, to that next business, to that next line of business that you're trying to gain? Are they going to help you get the next yes that can pivot you from where you are as a small business to a nationwide business? That's how you need to be thinking as you're onboarding, interviewing those that are coming onto your team. God bless you, Pastor Henry. Glad to have you with us today. And so then also explaining the interview process, then you learn about that interviewee, right? So after you've given some good exposure, some good understanding about who we are, what we do, what we're called, our why. Listen, Sometimes people may not even agree with the way you're doing it, but if you explain the why, they can understand. They can understand. They can say, okay, I see why you're doing this, and it makes sense, right? And so when you explain your why, it's easier to have people connect. And so in the interviewing process, along with giving them the why and the mission and the vision and where we're going and how they connect in and how they can be in the value and how they can associate themselves to the team and to the company, then you also want to find out from them. Now, how do you see yourself operating? Right? You want to have a segment of questions about what is your career dream? What is your aspiration? What about this job? What about the description made you want to apply? What is it? What rang with you? Or what resonated in your spirit? What aligned to what you see in your future? Because sometimes you're hiring people and they're not coming for a future. They're coming for what I need right now. And depending on where you are in your organization, that might work. And sometimes where your organization, that won't work. Because you don't want somebody who's just hopping jobs, right? Who's just finding the current one place to be. You want someone who is going to come and enable and then want to have some tenure, want to have some legacy there so that they prompted and pushed change and they were a part of it and they stayed long enough to see results. You want somebody who has a mindset about results. That's part of that STAR interviewing process, right? The last one where it talks about, having that significance and understanding about what they're bringing, what they do. You also wanted to make sure that you understand not just situational, not just tasks, not just actions, but that they are results oriented, right? That they are a results oriented person. This is a person that gets things done. One of the things that you want to hear is their past experiences about finishing. And that is so important. Is this person aligned to finishing what they start? Is this person aligned to be able to have the dexterity that it takes to go through the process and finish? That's part of the STAR process of interviewing results. Is this person committed enough to ensure that their job, their position, their responsibility leads to good results for the organization? Because if you're paying a fair salary, we're looking for a fair amount of delivery. I want you to deliver on your promise. I want you to deliver on your commitment. I want you to deliver by showing up. I want you to deliver by being on time. I want you to deliver by doing the tasks you've been asked to do. I want you to deliver by following the actions that we've already crafted as part of your role. And then I want you to deliver results. Oh my God. That's really what we want. We want results. Success and focus, focus and consistency leads to results, leads to success, leads to results, leads to the end of what you've expected. And so you want someone who can be consistent enough, even if it's a little bit harder than initially thought out, initially planned, even if it is a little bit more longer, the tenure of it takes a little bit more time than planned. Are they the type of person who will stick with it until the results are there? Otherwise, you continuously onboarding and offboarding. So you want to make sure that there's a level of results that they've already proven prior to you. And that is an excellent way to show you what type of a resource or teammate you will have in your organization. You want someone who has finished before. Now, a lot of times when you're starting off new or you have interns, you are trying to onboard younger, less experienced ones, then you have that type of understanding and clarity that I expect them to learn this process of finishing. They haven't had history. They haven't had jobs or reference. And so I'm going to operate with them in that capacity. And therefore, you're hiring with that understanding and that context. Listen, you cannot expect from others what they do not have contextually a competency to do. You will set yourself up hiring for someone, expecting them to be able to do something that they've never had experience in, to do it at your level. You can't expect someone to operate at your level who's never done it before or who doesn't know your vision, haven't walked with you for a while. There are others that are around you who are very familiar with you. You might have a team who's worked with you for several years, and yes, they can easily know what you need without you even asking for it. But when you're hiring net new, you have to be able to assess. That is part of the interviewing and hiring process, is assessing. You must assess. okay, if this person has the skills that I need, they have the awareness of the particular job, but they don't have the maturity yet, then you as the owner or as the manager, then you have to level set yourself for patience. Yes, you do. You have to level set yourself for mentorship. You have to level set yourself for training because you're hiring them at their level of experience. Now, when you're hiring someone and you found that they have operated in that lane for numerous years, they have decades of experience, they have a resume, they have a reputation, then there's a higher level of expectation. You don't have to mentor as much. You just need to give instructions and information and awareness on how you do things in the interview. And so you can feel more comfortable and relatable to the fact that I'm hiring someone who's a SME. They're a subject matter expert. And so with the subject matter expert, then you also, as the owner or as the manager, you have to level set yourself in that area. Then you can't micromanage. I'm going to help somebody today. When you're hiring a subject matter expert, you cannot micromanage them. You have to tell them the vision. You have to give them support and then be there to help them manage risk. But allow them to operate. If they're going to manage, allow them to operate. Otherwise, you will crush the relationship. Because it's difficult for two people to manage in the same lane at the same time. You can be in the same lane, but you have to know how to have that agility to allow others to maneuver and to operate and to lead when it's their turn. Amen. When it's their turn, give them that room to lead. I have several teams and they all have a team manager. And so there are times when I say, I don't do that. Go to your manager. I enable my manager. I authorize them for their responsibility. I give them the room to manage and to have the supervision of their team. I don't diminish their authority. And so again, when you're hiring, when you're interviewing and you're getting a subject matter expert, you have to recognize this person knows what they're doing. And so then that person and I need to operate on a different level than I do with somebody who's very less experienced. Okay, so we've just shared some of the things about interviewing. I do want to share on today a little bit about hiring. So you're interviewed and you've had an opportunity sometimes interviewing maybe one-on-one with yourself and a couple of people from your team, or it could be a panel. You might want to have a panel interview so that you all hear the response and see the body language at the same time. And so you might do panel, or you might do a couple of individual interviews of that interviewee with different people that you trust, who have insight, who have a maturity enough to evaluate well, right, without bias. We're looking at the role, responsibility, and what we already declared is what we need, not so much the individual themselves, as far as sometimes we have different biases about what we're looking for in demeanor, or what we're looking for in how they've dressed. And so there are some things that does give us cues. So don't neglect the red flags. I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying you have to be able to have weight things appropriately. Be able to give good measure on things appropriately for where you're going. So that's the interviewing process. Again, making sure that you are ready, making sure that you have your questions, making sure that you have evaluated the STAR process, situational, task, actions, and results. And then also make sure you have your questions written out. And then we also give the interviewee a chance to dialogue and share. Do you have any questions about what I've talked about from the organization? Is there anything that gives you concern? Is there anything that what I've said excites you? Is there anything where you already feel like there's some innovation or some idea you might have that you can bring into our organization? How do you feel you are best onboarded? In what ways do you best communicate? Some of those conversations, allowing them to have a interactive interview is always so important. Because you don't want to hire somebody and then find out they're really someone else, right? You have a different expectation and you've assumed because you didn't have enough conversation to find out that this is how they really are. So especially if you're hiring one of your critical roles, make sure you spend the time to have multiple conversations if necessary, have others evaluate. And then lastly, hiring them and bringing them on board. Make sure that you're very intentional as you discuss salary, intentional as you discuss how do they advance in their career? What's the next move? What is the role migration, or what are those advancement lanes that they could have next? And then set clear expectations. It makes conversation much easier. In most instances, you can say in 6 months, we're going to have an initial review, a halfway year review, because I want to say where you are in my expectation, and also dialogue about what the action plan, right? When you're on board, when you're hiring, you should have an initial action plan. Here are the things I would like to see us do in the next 6 months. And then also have them dialogue as well. What do you see? How can we advance you in this organization so that we win together? We want to win. Interviewing and hiring is very critical to the success of your mission, your vision, and your dream. So take the necessary time it takes to hire the right person. Take the necessary time it takes, because some of you may be operating in the capacity where you're dealing with things that could cost you your license, where you're bonded, where you're secured. And so when you're hiring someone who's operating on that behalf, you want to be clear about that person's capability to fulfill the role that you need on your team. So I pray today that you have gained some information about interviewing and hiring for success. We want to be successful. We don't want to always be a lesson in life. We'll have some. I've had some, but let's opportunity let's share today to be successful on our first go run. All right, happy Monday. We're so glad it's Monday, and we are just excited about hearing your reports and the good news that you're going to share as you interview and hire for your next onboarding teammate.
Thank you so much, Pastor Grant, for all that you have done today. Thank you all for watching and viewing. Remember to subscribe to the channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. And remember, also make sure that you contact My Father's House Pentecostal Church with Pastor Grant. She's a wonderful pastor there, along with her sister, Latoya Crawford. Y'all check them out. Thank you for being here today. Thank you so much, Pastor Grant, for all that you do. All right, peace and blessings to you all. You all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And be back next week for another episode of Money Mondays right here at the Juice Radio and Talk Show at 12 noon. Y'all stay blessed. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye now.
A heartfelt thank you to all of our subscribers who joined us for this video. If you have not already subscribed, go to our YouTube channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to be alerted whenever we go live. Join our private Juice community. Go to www.thejuicecommunity.com and sign up for free. Join us, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. We have our Money Monday financial series. It is a lunch and learn program at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. Also on Monday, we have our reality series and hot topics at 7 p.m. Wednesdays, we have Bible study at 7:30 p.m. Thursdays, we have church news at 7:30 p.m. We also offer motivational moments, happy marriage lifestyle, news from a godly perspective, movie reviews, as well as our single moms club, Let's Talk Ex-Millennials, and of course, our Cooking with Clovis. Follow us on our podcast channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show Podcast, streaming on all podcast platforms. A great big thank you to our podcast production company, Noye Podcast Productions. They can help you create your own podcast also. Contact them today at houseofnoye.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Custom Apparel Shop. Have them complete your embroidery work and silk screening needs. Do you need a logo created for your fashion apparel or company? Contact Israel Mason today. That is 786-657-7501. Thank you to our main sponsor, Truth and Triumph Ministries. Truth and Triumph Ministries, a ministry that cares about telling people the truth so they can triumph in life. Thank you, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for all you do.